Just how powerful are our thoughts, and do we have the ability to develop ourselves using our thoughts? Well, intuition suggests that probably not. Intuitively, thoughts seem like the weakest force in nature, certainly not comparable to other hidden forces in nature that can change the velocity of an object, for example, and probably not even as powerful as physical actions that I could do in this world. But recent studies show that thought can be far more influential than intuition would suggest, even having the power to change the structure of our brain. And that's only the beginning. Psychologist Alan Richardson conducted an experiment in order to demonstrate the power of thought. He took basketball players, split them into 3 groups. The first group he had shoot free throws for 20 minutes a day. The second group he had visualize themselves practicing shooting free throws for 20 minutes a day. The third group he had neither practice nor visualize themselves practicing. Of course, this group did not advance. But the group that visualized themselves shooting free throws for 20 minutes a day advanced almost as much as the group that physically practiced. Similarly, neuroscientist Alvaro Pascual-León over at Harvard conducted an experiment to check the changes in gray matter in the brain as subjects practiced playing a musical piece for 2 hours a day. So he mapped the changes in their motor cortex as they were practicing, and he did the same with a group who only visualized themselves going through a practice for the same amount of time for 2 hours a day, including all the movements of the fingers. And what he found was there was a similar amount of new brain real estate devoted to the movements involved in this musical piece. And a similar advancement was made by those who visualized themselves playing to those who actually physically practiced. Another group of researchers, Reinhardt, McClanahan, and Woodman, even found that visualizing yourself hitting a target was actually more beneficial than practicing to hit that target. Another group of healthy young study participants practiced 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, doing finger and elbow exercises mentally, and increased their strength respectively 35% and 13.5%. A second group actually went through the physical exercises and they increased their strength 53% in the finger. But yet another study showed that participants that only visualized themselves going through some sort of practice could very quickly close the gap between themselves and those who had physically practiced with just a little bit of an addition of physical effort. And these studies basically just show that the same neural pathways that are engaged when I physically do an action, I can engage them also just by imagining myself doing that action. These studies also suggest that if I want to develop myself, thought is critical. Of course, these are just examples of using the power of thought to develop myself a little bit more on the same evolutionary level that I'm on. They also don't suggest that I can use the power of thought in order to really influence the reality around me in some pivotal way. But the wisdom of Kabbalah suggests that there is a level of development that one can reach that goes beyond one's skin. And the key to reaching this is actually using the power of thought. In order to understand this very special degree that awaits us, we can take a few examples from evolutionary nature. Although we can't go back in time millions and billions of years and watch how things evolved and learn from them, we can take an example from our friend the caterpillar. Inside the caterpillar, there are what are called imaginal cells. They're cells within the caterpillar that are able to depict the future state of the butterfly and drive the process towards it. And those imaginal cells, though they are exactly the same genetically in DNA as the other cells of the caterpillar, they become this new form called the butterfly. They're the very same cells, only the signals that are connecting them are different, and from this you get a whole new creature. Now, if we take a look at ourselves, meaning humanity, the organizing signals that are passing between us are our thoughts and desires. Namely, thoughts and desires that are simply arising within us one after the other and which we don't control. the outcome of which is the reality that we see around us. A grim reality, one that is worse by the day. This is the unconscious manifestation of the ego playing itself out. It's caterpillar life, and not all caterpillars become butterflies. So it's up to us to consciously start envisioning the state that we want to reach. And then we can reach it using the power of thought. But first, we have to know about this state that we're supposed to reach, that is destined for us. And just like in the caterpillar, there exist only some cells that are these imaginal cells that are capable of depicting the future state and driving the whole process towards it. There is a cross-section of humanity, one of which you probably are if you're able to listen to this video this long, who are capable of working with their thoughts and desires, imagining the future state, and driving themselves and humanity towards this very special evolutionary degree. So what is this future evolutionary state that we can already start imagining and come closer to using the power of thought? Well, it's a state that is totally opposite to the one that we're in now. Meaning if we look at the organizing signals between human beings as totally egoistic, meaning we're always in competition, one-upsmanship, everyone's trying to outdo the other one, we feel ourselves on a finite planet with limited resources, and I need to get ahead of everyone. Well, I need to start thinking like a single cell organism that perhaps all of that was true for. And now I need to enter a state called the body, the multicellular body, like a human body, wherein it is impossible to exist if the cells of that body will think in this egoistic way, in a selfish way. I need to start thinking as the whole of humanity being connected. I need to become this imaginal cell that even though I am living the caterpillar life, I am already against that perception, starting to depict, starting to imagine, and try to live inside this thought of the future state of humanity, which is to become really as one man with one heart, as one system that is interconnected, interdependent, and lives life on a higher, sublime level of existence. So thought is actually the most powerful force in nature for our development, if we know how to use it correctly. This is why Kabbalists say, all is clarified in thought, meaning these thoughts and desires, these egoistic thoughts and desires that are always emerging in me and painting the reality black, can actually be harnessed, can be controlled, can be sorted out and changed to good thoughts, thoughts that will advance us towards our next evolutionary state. I only need to learn this special study of how to do it. And if it seemed before like thoughts were flimsy, ephemeral, the weakest force in nature, it's simply because they flowed through me automatically, painting my reality for me because they emerged from my egoistic nature and I didn't know how to control them. And that's why learning to do so is the most important study that one can engage in.